Hi, my name is Cameron Tate, and I'm doing the catastrophe of the Triangle Shirtwaist fire in 1911. The description of systems and products involved. The TSA factory was a well-known sweatshop owned by Max Blank and Isaac Harris. The building was the Ash Building, located on Green Street in Washington Place in Manhattan. The top 3 floors was the TSA factory work line and where they made their products. It was a 10-story building, and so that was the makeup of the building. There was 4 total elevators, 2 staircases, and 1 fire escape that led to entry and exit of the building. The assembly lines was basically made up of rows of long, narrow hallways and small, compact rooms full of sewing machines, making the shirtwaist, which is a loose fit clothing. It's half a dress, more of a button up upper shirt, made for ready to wear clothing for women. The operation and maintenance of this organization, first off, the maintenance was very poorly kept and not very up to date at all. The owners, they tried to do a lot of shady things really for their company, and this incident basically is what set the whole backfire off for them. There's over 100 employees. Most of the employees were young women, young teenage women, young adult women, and most of them were immigrants themselves trying to make any money they could, getting paid low wages just to survive. The danger of this line of work was well known, and there was always a great hazard and great chance of a fire, but the maintenance and the well keeping, trying to keep safety in the building, was very low, very poor, and lazy from the upper management. They had 1 elevator in use during the whole time they were working. That would make dozens of trips up and down all day to get the workers to their floor of work. And at 1 out of 4 was working, and that shows and reflects that they weren't trying to fix anything. They were just letting whatever it was, let it be. The owners, Max and Isaac, have a history of past fires themselves from not only this factory, but they own another factory which has history of fires. And there's a high level of corruption in the city government, so funds weren't always available, but it was poor and low efforts to even keep and try to maintain proper safety and make a good working environment for the workers. What I feel like my reasons of the fire happening is, 1, fires are bound to happen in this work anyways, but just the low laziness of the upper management, they wouldn't keep up proper maintenance. When this fire in 1911 first started, it started in a bin fire, which grew into flames that were uncontrollable, leading to panic and evacuation. But there was no real evacuation routes, which led most of the deaths to the elevators. After the 1 working elevator made a few trips up and down, it fell through the building, as well as killing the long line of people waiting at the elevators trying to get out. And there was no sprinkler system involved. There was no proper fire escape. The fire escape didn't even reach the ground floor outside into the street. The fire extinguisher that they tried to use to put out the fire immediately was so out of date and bad that the valve was rusted shut. Therefore, there was no use of it at all, and they couldn't do second to none effort to even stop the fire. The recommended hazard controls in my rack number, I give this a 1A. You could say there's an argument for giving it a 1B, but with the owners that would sabotage their own shops just to collect insurance money for themselves, and keep low maintenance because they were not planning on replacing any good fire extinguishers, fire elevators, fire escapes, none of that good proper safety techniques, because they knew that they were eventually just going to try to cause another fire after hours, which kept the employees safe and out of harm. But still, it showed in 1911, when it all built up to this, that they had no good safety hazards intact, because they just planned on ruining them again anyways. As long as the building was standing tall and work was getting done, they were fine with it, just not making it by. There was, I guess, a catastrophe is a fatal loss of 146 workers and lives, the employees and staff. The whole building was burnt to a crisp, and there was nothing that they could salvage, so it was a total loss of the system. And the building was refurbished nearly 2 decades later, sold, I think, in 1929. They were put out of business. They couldn't continue with this, so that was a big loss they took. And my conclusion is, yeah, it's a tragic accident, but I wouldn't say it would just been totally preventable, because again, the fires and the hazards were always at TAC, but there was definitely room for proper maintenance, proper safety techniques, proper routes of entry and exits, and lives. It shows that the lives cost way more than just trying to keep low good sprinkler systems, or low, cheap, out of date fire extinguishers. But if you were to actually put money into it, they would have still had a business. They would have suffered such a lawsuit and losing all the poor innocent lives just trying to make money for themselves to live. Simple fixes like that is exactly what makes the big impact, but obviously they didn't want to take it to that precaution, and it showed, and it backfired on them big time. The 29 Code of Federal Regulations 1910 and 1926 is what I have intact, because it comes back to elevator and fire extinguisher safety, fire safety, especially with them knowing that that was the top key hazard and risk that they were taking in this line of work.